name is Annie Beaudoin, and I'm a registered immigration consultant. My license is R5333869. We are doing kind of this unrehearsed, unprepared, short video, Mario and I, because we have seen a lot of applicants that are sometimes maybe a little bit desperate because of the current climate in immigration. There's a lot of refusal, a lot of stress, a lot of people that used to do their application and now are receiving refusals and are sometimes a little bit, without means to know what to do. So we decided to help out everyone and to give you some practical tip to do a super short, useful video to help you navigate the selection of a representative, legal representative, whether it's a immigration consultant or an immigration lawyer, and just to give you a few guidelines and questions to help you decide whether or not the representative, the legal representative you're about to choose may be the right decision. So we're just going to do a quick Q&A between Mario and I to give you ideas on what questions to ask before you make your decision to select someone to be your legal representative for IRCC. So let me introduce Mario Machado. We work together on many, many cases. And I am going to ask you the first question, Mario, and then you can give us some feedback. So the first question you should ask a prospective consultant or a prospective lawyer would be, do you have a license to practice? And then what else should you check, Mario, once you ask that?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Mario Machado. As Annie said, I'm a regulated immigration consultant. My license is R731671. I'm also registered for the Quebec registry, and my license is 12249. And to answer the question of Annie, one of the first things that you should look into is going to the website of that consultant or lawyer to see where they register. Are they register in the College of Consultants? And if that's the case, just validate if their license is still valid and active. So that would be important to understand.
Perfect. You want to ask the second question?
Yes. So what do you think about questions about the expertise? How do you think, Annie, that should be approached?
I think that is very, very important. So depending the case you're bringing forward in front of that lawyer or that consultant, you want to ask how many years of experience do you have, and do you have expertise in these type of cases? And then what kind of expertise do you have? Let's say you're bringing forward a post-graduation work permit that just got refused. You might want to ask, have you worked on these cases lately? What kind of trends do you see? What are you planning to do with my case? If the legal representative is not able to answer that with a minimum of detail and concrete legislation or examples, that may be a red flag that representative is not perhaps the best one to represent you for that specific mandate.
That's correct.
Question. Yeah. Next question, Mario. Do you think it is important to have specific questions about the case when you're going to select your lawyer or consultant?
Of course, it is very important to understand what would be the approach that representative will bring to your case. Are they going to use, let's say, any public policy that is out there? Are they going to use a specific section of the act or the regulation, or maybe they're just going to work on the jurisprudence or the any decision of the federal court or etc. So it is certain that the approach will be defined as you move forward with the case, but at least to have a general idea on how that person suggests to bring forward that case.
100%. And if the person just say, "Oh yeah, just pay me, $5,000 and then we'll get you approved," that is a big red flag if they're not able to put forward in front of you some kind of reasonable explanation on how they're going to legally position that case in front of IRCC for you.
Also, guaranteeing an approval, it's actually illegal. Nobody can guarantee an approval. And that's also a red flag when you have a representative that tells you, yeah, with me, you're going to get approved. That's not ethical either.
Exactly. So it's illegal, it's unethical, and nobody can do that because they are not the immigration officer making the decision. Therefore, they cannot guarantee what the decision is going to be. Next question.
So one question, do you think that you should ask about experience for a similar case?
Yes, so we've talked about that, and I think that's very, very important. And see how many cases like that have you done? What was the outcome? Having said this, if it's a new program, of course, you can't expect the immigration representative to have a lot of cases and things like that. So you have to be flexible. But I think it's okay to ask someone, is this your area of expertise? Do you do a lot of let's say, TRP application for criminality? And if the person is not able to tell you, yeah, I've done a lot, this is what the kind of results that I get, then that might also be an indicator that this is not the perfect legal representative for that specific case.
100%.
Yeah. Another great question is, Mario, can you ask who will work on my case if I sign a retainer with you?
Yes, for sure. This is very important to understand if the person that you're talking to is actually going to lead the case or if there's going to be somebody else working on the case. We understand that all the firms, they have assistants and they have people who will help them out with filling up the forms, etc. But you still want to understand who's going to work on the legal argument letter and also who's going to do the final review, not only of the letters and the forms, but also on the documents that you are submitting to your RCC or to any provincial government.
100%. So if the actual lawyer or the actual consultant that you're signing with and you're talking about in the beginning will have a very, very minimal overlook of that case, that is also a red flag. You want to make sure that you're not only working with some assistant and that that person is unreachable and will basically have a very, very, general overview of your case and won't look at everything. If you sign with us, Mario and I will look at every single document, every single detail. We will draft a letter. Yes, of course, you have some interaction with an assistant. Otherwise, it's not sustainable as an immigration firm. But you want to make sure that that lawyer, that immigration consultant that has the expertise in what you're looking for will be providing a lot of work on your case, active work on your case.
Yeah, and not only that, in our case, if you go with us, you will have two active RCICs working on your case and also questioning each other how would be the best approach to bring forward the case and to validate documents and the letter.
As they say, two heads are better than one, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Great. Do you want to ask the other question, Mario?
Yes, the other question, do you think that charging high prices is always a guarantee of the quality of work?
Well, the answer to that is probably no. So I don't think that the price is always reflective. Again, if they are charging a price that's higher, and they're able to justify it, that's perfectly fine. But it should be justified with concrete example on how they're going to work on your case. So for us, we base our prices, our service fees, on the complexity of the case, on the expertise that need to be brought onto the case, and also on kind of an estimation on how much time are we going to need to work on your case. So the prices could be lower, could be higher, but at least it is reasonable and it is based on specific things. And I think that's an okay question to ask a consultant. What is your price based on? So again, you want to be, I think a high price doesn't guarantee an approval or quality of work, but as long as it's justified, but you should also ensure that you have a price that's in line with the market. Because if the person is charging too low, you may want to ask yourself why. Why are they charging such a low price? Same, why are they charging such a high price, right? So for me, I've been doing this for 21 years. So I bring an expertise that's not always available elsewhere. So sometimes I may charge a little higher for a case. And I explain that to my client, and they have the choice to sign with me or someone else. And I think that's where you want to use your, your reasoning to decide whether or not that makes sense. Next question. What do you think is a standard time to reply to emails? And do you think it's okay to ask that question before you sign with a representative?
Yes, it's important to understand what are you expecting from your consultant or lawyer. This is something normally that is stated in the retainers, in which how long can the consultant or the representative take to answer your emails. In my opinion, 2 to 3 days, it's a standard time. But if you don't feel comfortable with this because you want shorter response time, then you need to talk to your representative so there's an arrangement between you and the person.
Exactly. And I think that thinking that a representative that's emailing you within the hour every single time you send an email may not automatically be a sign that they are competent and that they are great, because if they are able to answer you that fast, you may want to ask yourself, well, why aren't they that busy? Why don't they have other clients? Having a lot of clients and being able to work on a lot of cases keeps us updated and competent in different areas. And that's why sometimes we take 24 or 48 or more time to answer. But again, if the consultant is replying right away every single time, all times, day and night, that may be a concern. Why aren't they busy? Why don't they have other cases? Why aren't they going to conferences? Why aren't they, doing other things to keep themselves really updated on what's happening in immigration, especially because it's moving so fast, right?
Yeah. The next question would be, would you find important to talk about the protection of the confidential information?
100%. Not only is it important, but it's an actual obligation of the consultant and most likely the lawyer. So it is okay to say, how are you going to protect my information? Because you're sending a lot of documents and a lot of personal information, whether it's financial, whether it's a passport, to your consultant. So you want to make sure that these documents will be saved in a way that is extremely secure, that is transmitted very securely. So if your consultant is telling you to send you some documents or some information via WhatsApp, that is a big, big red flag. WhatsApp is the most unsecure platform to be on. So they should be able to explain to you how they're going to save all that and how they're going to keep all that. And now they're going to be able to send information to them that in a very secure manner, because we live in a world where there's so much potential for fraud and identity theft and all that.
And not only that, the usage of drives like Google Drive, OneDrive, any type of drive per se, it's not protected. The information there is not protected. So as a consultant, we have a special software in which you can upload your documents and they are protected in a Canadian server. So it is important to understand that.
Yep. Next question. Do you think, Mario, it's okay for a legal representative to guarantee a processing time and also guarantee maybe time frame for preparing the files and things like that?
So the processing time can never be guaranteed because it's up, it can go higher or lower. It depends always on RCC or any other provincial government. So no consultant or lawyer can actually guarantee the processing time of your file. Sometimes they can tell you, well, this could take up to this amount of month, just for you to have an idea on when to expect to have an answer, but that could be less time or more time. Regarding the preparation of files and forms, this is more an internal for the firm. They can tell you, for example, it's going to take us, I don't know, 1 week or 2 weeks after you submit all documents for us to prepare. And that should be stated also in the retainer. How long does the consultant or the lawyer going to take to prepare the documentation and the letters?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a good question to ask. How long is it going to take you to prepare my file once I've submitted all the, the necessary document? I think that's a great question. So at least you have an idea of how long it's going to take. Do you want to ask the final question,
Yes.
Mario?
So, do you think that it's important to read the retainer before sending any payment?
I think the answer to that is obviously yes,
Yeah.
right? Unless you've signed many contracts with the same, but you should really take the time to read carefully the retainer or the contract and the fine prints and ensure that you understand every single part of it, your obligation, and also what is the consultant or lawyer going to do for you? How much are the fees? How are you going to be asked to pay? What are the time frames? What kind of guarantees do you have? What's going to happen after the decision? So please ensure that you really read the contract carefully. If you have a contract that is 3-4 pages, that is probably a red flag. A good contract with a legal professional for an immigration purposes should be several pages. And that's the standard contract that we see in the industry. And that is for your protection as a client and also the protection of the legal representative. So the answer is yes. Please, even if it takes you a long time or you need to ask someone to explain it to you, it is really, really essential that you understand the contract.
And also, when you have a consultant that has a long contract, it means that that person has worked in several cases and has seen different situations, because the more we work on those cases, the more we add clauses to be able to clarify what's going to happen if that clauses happens. So it's also an indication that you're talking to a person that is experienced.
It's a great indication. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed the very how would I say, ad lib, unrehearsed video that we made. I hope it's useful. And if you need to contact us, both of our emails will appear at the end of this video. And of course, we're happy to assist anyone with any type of inquiry about immigration to Canada. Thank you, Mario.
Thank you. Bye-bye.